going on, guys? Welcome to the very first movie review I have ever done on this channel. Now I want to keep this brief, but I've started to notice that because YouTube is not a full-time career for me, it's kind of difficult for me to upload gaming content regularly. So I'm going to give a new go on this movie review series, and I'm going to stop the gaming stuff for a while, and we'll see how it goes. Movies have always been a huge passion for me. I actually have a lot of reviews saved for probably over 100 movies on my phone, and I've just never released them either on a blog or on YouTube videos like this. But here we are, starting it now. This series is most likely going to be mostly new films, but I'll also try to go back and revisit some of my favorites, as well as the rest of the X-Men movies since I'm reviewing this one now. I'm not sure when those will come out for sure, and it probably won't be a super regular upload type of thing, but I'll try to release them as soon as I can. Now with that all out of the way, let's talk about Dark Phoenix, quite possibly the last Fox-produced X-Men film. Now first of all, I do want to mention that this is going to be a spoiler-free review, excluding the trailers. So if you've seen the trailers, I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff you see in there, but no specifics, no spoilers from the movie. So overall, this is definitely a disappointing film, and probably one of the worst X-Men films, at least in the new series, First Class and onward. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a lot of fun along the way. There were definitely some action sequences in this movie that were really entertaining, and probably the best part of it for me. So in the movie we get to see Jean Grey's descent into full villainy when she absorbs the energy of a solar flare in a space mission gone wrong. This movie has moments of excellence, it has moments that I really liked, but overall, yeah, it definitely had some real pacing issues, and we're going to get into that later. But first, I want to talk about the pros. First of all, the acting. The acting has always been good in these movies. I thought the X-Men movies were fantastic, including the old ones and the new series as well. James McAvoy is really good as always, Michael Fassbender, very good, and I thought Sophie Turner was fine in the role of Jean Grey as well. The other major pro for me was the action sequences in this movie. There are some really fantastic moments. We get a little fun with Quicksilver again. It's not anything as good as what we saw in Apocalypse with him saving everyone from the building before it explodes, but there's still some good stuff with him. We get to see a little bit more of Nightcrawler too. He's become one of my favorites of the new X-Men that appeared in Apocalypse for the first time. Unfortunately, that's about where the pros end for me, because yeah, the story and some of the character decisions they made in this movie felt really off to me. There's also some stuff with Jessica Chastain's character that just really didn't even feel like it had a place in this movie. I'm not sure what they were trying to do. Now when I watched the first act, I was like, okay, this is good. This is not, well, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's not terrible. And then after that, tonally, things started to shift a little bit. It almost felt a little rushed, and maybe that's because they didn't really develop Jean Grey in X-Men Apocalypse. She was just kind of there, until the very end, of course, when she fully realizes her powers. But in this movie, they just kind of tell you to accept that she is kind of the sole focus of this movie, which, I don't know, I was okay with, but the pacing was a real problem. There's also some really dialogue-heavy scenes in the movie where the characters say things that, oh, they really made me cringe. Like, I don't know who was writing the dialogue, but some of it's okay, and then there's other scenes where I was just about to start laughing out loud in my seat. Alright, let's move on to the characters now, because these are some of the biggest flaws with the movie, in my opinion. Now let's start with Professor X, because he probably gets the most screen time of the older X-Men characters, so let's talk about him. Because there is a revelation in this movie where we learn some things about what he did back when he first started the school for the gifted, and it just kind of felt out of character for me. His whole arc in this movie kind of goes against his perspective on everything that we saw in First Class and Days of Future Past. He's kind of turning into the new Magneto in that he is concerned that Jean Grey's actions are going to cause the world to have a negative view on mutants, and they will be their enemy. I also hate how characters in this movie constantly change motivations just because the plot demands it. I'm mostly talking about Magneto, and obviously I can't get into specifics without spoiling anything, but he kind of flip-flops randomly, and it's almost like the motivations don't make sense to me, because he's definitely a very deep character and he has morality conflicts within him, but it just felt out of character to me, and that's disappointing because I love Magneto. One last thing that I really want to talk about is Jean Grey herself, because there are moments in the movie where she worked for me. I was like, okay, this is interesting, you can really see the conflict that's going on within her right now, but there are other moments that just, they didn't work at all. There's a lot of transitions, random transitions to her just kind of sitting and being like, what's happening to me? And it kind of felt redundant, I hate to say it, but like we've seen a story similar to this in other X-Men films of somebody, kind of on the fence between good and bad, and there's also a moment early in the movie that's kind of built up to be this big emotional moment and everything. Obviously I don't want to spoil it or anything, but It was a little bit shocking, but I do have to say I saw it coming before it happened. And it involves Gene, and it was just kind of predictable and bland. That's really how I can sum up this movie as a whole. It was a nice attempt, but it's overall, it kind of felt like a rehash of things that we've seen before, with some nice action, but also some really cringy character choices and bad dialogue. So once again, not as bad as the critics are saying in my opinion, but this is definitely a disappointing film. I'm going to give Dark Phoenix 5.5 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have a new camera that I'm using for this, and obviously I haven't shown my face in a long time, so there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be, messing with when I edit this video. I'll see, does this work? Did that work? Do I need to change the settings in the camera? Maybe. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you guys wish, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.